This video is part of a series where we take a look at some of history's most influential scientists. We all explore their major contributions and learn about the world they lived in to see how it both helped and hindered their work. If you enjoy this video and want to learn more about the amazing scientists that have shaped our world, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Edwin Hubble was born in 1889 in Washington, D.C., but his family soon moved to a farm in Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania, where Edwin grew up. His father owned a company that sold stoves and furnaces, but had recently gotten into real estate development and was hoping to turn the family farm into a golf course. As a boy, Hubble enjoyed exploring the fields and woods near his home, and he developed an interest in astronomy. By reading books about the stars and planets, he would lie on a hill in a field and watch the stars go by, something which stuck with him for the rest of his life. He would later say, "I can still see the stars fairly well from my patio, and they still seem to be going by." In school, he excelled in math and science, and after graduating from high school, he enrolled at the University of Chicago to study these subjects. However, he soon switched his focus to philosophy and economics, which were subjects his father wanted him to consider as a career. So Edwin graduated with a degree in these subjects. He then attended Oxford University in England for graduate work, earning a doctorate in 1912 with a dissertation on the relationship between ethics and the natural sciences. But despite pursuing other interests in college, Hubble never lost his fascination with space. While at Oxford, he took courses in astronomy and built a small telescope in his room. And when he heard that George Ellery Hale was building the world's largest telescope on Mount Wilson in California, he decided to move there. Hubble arrived in Pasadena, California in 1919, and 2 years later, he began working as an assistant at the Mount Wilson Observatory. In 1924, he became the director of the observatory's new Department of Extragalactic Research. Hubble spent much of his time studying spiral nebulae, which were believed to be clouds of gas and dust within our galaxy. At the time, the prevailing view was that our galaxy was the only one in the universe. Everything else in the night sky was just a collection of random objects floating around us. This view is now known as the steady-state theory of the universe. With the 100-inch Hooker telescope at his disposal, Hubble made several discoveries that challenged this theory. His first significant discovery came in 1923 when he found that spiral nebulae actually contained stars. Up until this point, astronomers had debated whether or not spiral nebulae were part of our galaxy or separate galaxies outside of our galaxy. Hubble's finding provided strong evidence that the nebulae were in fact distant galaxies, thus proving that the universe consisted of more than just our galaxy. Hubble continued to study galaxies, and in 1929 he published his second major discovery, Hubble's law, which was based on his observations of galaxies that were receding from Earth. Hubble noticed that the farther away a galaxy was, the faster it was moving away from us. This observation led to the conclusion that the universe as a whole was expanding. This discovery revolutionized our understanding of the universe and provided the basis for the Big Bang theory. The discovery of the expanding universe brought Hubble international fame. He was awarded the 1932 Nobel Prize in Physics, the Henry Draper Medal, and the Gold Medal of the Royal Astronomical Society, among many other awards. It wasn't all smooth sailing, however. After publishing his law, it was discovered that there were errors in some of the data Hubble used to derive it. Later it was found that the recession velocity of some of the galaxies that Hubble studied were overestimated due to peculiar velocities caused by nearby gravitational interactions. The problem was that at the time it was impossible to distinguish between a galaxy that was receding from us because it was far away and a galaxy that was receding from us due to a nearby gravitational interaction. With today's advanced technology, however, astronomers can measure the distances to galaxies accurately enough to correct Hubble's mistakes. And when they do this, they find that Hubble's law still holds true. Hubble also played a key role in establishing the field of extragalactic astronomy. He was the first astronomer to systematically map out the positions and distances to galaxies. In 1936, he published a classification scheme for galaxies that is still in use today, the Hubble sequence. The sequence is based on the morphology or shape of the galaxy. Galaxies are grouped into four main categories: ellipticals, spirals, lenticulars, and irregulars. Elliptical galaxies have a smooth, featureless shape and range from giant to dwarf in size. Spirals have a disc-like shape with spiral arms and a central bulge. Lenticular galaxies have a disc-like spirals, but lack the spiral arms. Irregular galaxies have no particular shape. Hubble's classification scheme has been very useful in organizing and studying galaxies. When World War II broke out in 1914, Hubble enlisted in the Army. He served in France as an artillery fire control observer. While there, he witnessed the devastation of war firsthand, which left a lasting impact on him. He wrote to his sister about the horrors of the battlefield. "I saw an entire platoon of men swept off their feet by a shell and blown to pieces. It's impossible to describe the awful spectacle. If I could only make people realize what a horrible thing war is, I should be satisfied." After the war, Hubble returned to Mount Wilson Observatory and continued his research. However, the war had changed him, and he was no longer the same carefree young man who had left for Europe. He became increasingly withdrawn and isolated, and eventually stopped speaking altogether. Some believe that Hubble suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, while others believe that he developed a nonverbal form of autism. Whatever the cause, Hubble's condition worsened over time, and he became more and more eccentric. He would walk around the observatory muttering to himself and making strange faces. He also became obsessed with cleanliness and would spend hours washing his hands and clothes. In 1947, Hubble suffered a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized. He was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia and was treated with insulin shock therapy. He recovered somewhat and was able to return to the observatory, but he was never the same again. Continued to work, but his research was never as good as it had been before, and he eventually retired in 1953. Following his retirement, Hubble's health declined rapidly. He suffered from diabetes and heart disease, and he continued to have problems with his mind. He died on September 26, 1953, at the age of 64. Throughout his career, Hubble was highly respected by his peers and students. He was known for his intelligence, work ethic, and ability to inspire others. One of his former students, Alan Sandage, said his greatness as an astronomer was never in any doubt. It was simply a matter of awe in seeing what he did. Hubble was also a private person who was uncomfortable with public speaking. However, he knew the importance of sharing his work with the public. He gave numerous lectures and wrote articles to share his findings with the general public. He was also involved in the development of the first successful satellite, Explorer 1, which was launched in 1958. While Hubble is best known for his work in astronomy, he was also a talented photographer. He took many photographs of the night sky, which were later used in his publications. He was also an accomplished woodworker and made several pieces of furniture for his home. Hubble's legacy lives on today through the Hubble Space Telescope, which was named in his honor. The telescope was launched in 1990 and has made many groundbreaking discoveries, including the age of the universe, the existence of black holes, and the first images of exoplanets. The telescope has also captured some of the most beautiful images of the night sky, which have inspired millions of people around the world. Edwin Hubble was a brilliant astronomer who made some of the most important discoveries in the history of astronomy. He proved that the universe was expanding, mapped the positions and distances to galaxies, and developed a classification scheme for galaxies that is still in use today. Hubble's work revolutionized our understanding of the universe and laid the foundation for modern astronomy. He was a gifted photographer, a talented woodworker, and a respected teacher and mentor. He was also a private person who was uncomfortable with public speaking. However, he knew the importance of sharing his work with the public. Hubble's legacy lives on today through the Hubble Space Telescope, which was named in his honor. The telescope has made some of the most important discoveries in the history of astronomy. Thank you for watching this video about the life of Edwin Hubble. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future videos. Thanks.